Hi, it's Martin from Martin's Engine Services. Just making a little video here this afternoon, and I think I'm going to entitle this one, You Couldn't Make It Up If You Tried. I don't know if it's just the effects of a bank holiday or whatever, but you just try and think forces sometimes are conspiring against not just me, but against everybody. In front of me is what I affectionately known as Old Creaky, the 2015 Seat Ibiza that I've been chasing suspension creaks on, having replaced all the bushes in the front. Problem was solved. It toddled off last week, been absolutely fine all weekend, and this morning, the young man's got him to drive off to work, huge bang, and the driver's side front coil spring decided just to snap. I thought, what on earth does this car going to throw at us next? See, I've got it all to bits here, and it came apart pretty easy. Ignore the large weapons of violence on the floor, but the hub was a little bit rusted onto the leg, so it took a little bit of persuading. No, pretty straightforward job, but thought, well, I just can't believe it. You think, really? He said it was a mighty bang, and of course it sagged down, and here is the offending spring, and as usual, a little snap off there. Top coil came off, and spring shot off the top of the leg. And amazingly enough, the bit that fell off actually landed in the spring seat at the bottom, was still sitting there, and stayed there. But you think, well, okay, what's next on this little car? It's kind of sort of trying to think it's going to get its own parking space soon, and well, I just had to laugh to myself a bit, and so he's a very nice young man, and he has actually quite sort of seen the funny side of it, really. I think if you don't, I think you'd cry at this stage. And the other little thing that's thrown itself at me today, yes, another cup of tea on the go. The roper ride-on mower, I'm dealing with a bad oil leak on the engine, and I've took the engine to pieces today to replace the oil seal in the governor rod here. According to the diagram on Briggs and Stratton's website, for this particular engine, right to the correct serial code and everything, there should be an oil seal in here. However, all you have is a bronze or brass bush and this shaft that runs through it. There are no O-rings on the shaft, there's no grooves, there's nothing. It simply sits in there. It runs up against the governor gears, and there's a R-clip on the end. So that's it, there's nothing else there. This engine's never been apart before. I've just stripped it for the first time. It's a very clean engine actually, and it runs beautiful, but how do you stop the oil falling out? The oil level in the crankcase, obviously the engine's upside down now, but when you turn the engine up the normal way, the oil in the crankcase sits somewhere probably round about this seam. And obviously with the crankshaft moving around here, you've got the camshaft gear here, and like a balancer type setup these engines have. Oil's going to get thrown everywhere. So I'm really not sure quite what their logic is of how the oil's supposed to stay in. I suppose they're just relying on goodwill from the oil. I don't know. It's a bit of a mystery. I mean, I did wonder about the crankcase breather, but that's cleared all the way through, and the valve in there's fine. It's not leaking anywhere else. And the seal on the crank seal, on the front casing, which is nice and parts washer now, that seal's perfect. And normally it's that seal that blows the oil out, but no, it's actually pouring out of this area here, to the point that if you actually tip the engine up slightly upon removal, the oil actually ran out of here, but there's hardly any play in this shaft whatsoever. Whether there's an upgrade or a modification or something, I don't really know. So I may just have to come up with some sort of way of putting an O-ring in there or something. I'm not really sure quite what to think of that. So that's sort of today's pondering problem. I looked at the parts diagram and thought, yeah, okay, nice and easy. We'll just pop that apart, order up a seal, excuse me, get a new gasket for here. We'll change the oil seal anyhow as a precaution. Thought that's it, nice and simple job. Bolt it back together. Or one other thing I did find, which is going to let it down, is that the cog on the starter motor there It's chewed up rather nicely. I'll replace that there, only a few pounds, and it's a straightforward clip-on job. But how do we stop the oil falling out of the engine? Conundrum. And while I was pondering that one, the phone rang to say trusty old Creaky had decided it wanted to be back in the workshop again. So I thought, blimey, straightforward Tuesday of dealing with this and working on the transit. Oh, while I'm quickly making a video, here is the other side of the transit front section of the floor. There is the extra additional plate I've fitted in for the winch to sit on top of the other two layers. You see it's all seam welded in there. I've just got to give that a good scurf down now, and you can see all the plug welds I put through there, and a few more. There's more tacks to go on the edge. There's stripping metal to go down here yet, which ties into here, and there's some other bits, so there'll be more welding along this edge to make sure. But I think we can safely say that is not going to go anywhere at any point. So that's all I've really been doing today, and just seeing a couple of other customers off, a couple of jobs I finished last week. And then, of course, along comes old Creaky Boing, as we're going to call it, and Mr. Briggs and Stratton, the mystery of the no parts fitted. So I'm really not sure exactly what I'm going to do about this. This is something ponderous. I'm going to clean this suspension strap now and fit a spring, and then, of course, do the other side. He's said change them both for the hell of it. And that'll be the one job done, and then I suppose I have to come up with some sort of cunning repair for this, but I don't know. We shall see about that. Anyhow, I thought I'd just make a little video, show you the mayhem of the Tuesday after bank holiday, and it's actually a lovely day today, so it's a pretty normal situation. So anyhow, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and bye for now.